do you think that Georgia will come out of spring football with a starting quarterback named? Dean Legge, Matt DeBerry, Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. I'm a little bit skeptical about that for a couple of different reasons.
Well, I like Carson Beck, and if you've been on Dog Post or listened to me talk about Carson, I do like him a good bit. I saw him on Halloween, and I think that was probably the best game that he had played all of last season. But he's a smart kid with a live arm who is more mobile than people think, and he's pretty accurate. So I know he kind of had a bad year statistically as a senior, but there's a lot of reasons for that after talking with people close to him and the family and stuff like that. So he might not be this five-star quarterback that they're bringing in, but he's already working with receivers, at night and stuff like that from what I'm hearing, and he's excited to be there. So I know Jamie Newman is coming in with all the tools and the accolades that people have kind of named him the starter already, but I do think it's probably going to be closer than people think. I don't think Kirby is going to name a starter at the end of the spring, but I think there's going to be probably a clear number one that people know about behind the scenes, and you kind of hear, and we hear things all the time. So I think behind the scenes there will be one guy ahead, obviously, but I don't think Kirby's going to name a starter until closer to the season. That just kind of seems like something he would do.
Well, you only have 15 practices in the spring, and that's the biggest thing to where, first of all, they didn't name Jacob Eason the starter coming out of 2016 spring. They didn't name Jacob Eason. They barely named Jacob Eason the starter going into 2017 at media days. I don't know if Kirby has officially ever named anyone the starting quarterback at any given time. And when you start thinking about even when Justin showed up to compete with Jake Fromm in 2018, I don't remember there being a starter being named at that time, after spring or going into the fall. But they just sort of spilled into, Jake's our starting quarterback because he's out there on the first play. But I think that one other thing too that's so critical about all of this is it's not just that you have two new quarterbacks. I mean, the only person returning from last year who played for Georgia at quarterback is Stetson Bennett. I mean, even Dwan Mathis, we don't know, what the cards hold there either. So, but the biggest thing that I'm sort of leaving out here, and we talk about being a smarter Georgia fan all the time over on DawgPost, DAWGPOST.com, is you've got a brand new offensive coordinator. You could have a very new and different offense. It could look different. How do these quarterbacks, how do they interact with the players that they're commanding the huddle in? What about, Stetson's ability to know everything? He did know everything, and even Mathis's ability to know so much, that's gone now. So that's another thing. I mean, I think if you're Georgia, if you're Kirby, the smart move here, probably, pun intended, is to be patient and probably wait until a week or maybe 10 to 14 days before the Virginia game to decide what you're going to do. I don't even know if they'll announce it then. Because one last caveat here. I'm not 100% certain that the person who starts the Virginia game will start the Florida game, even without injuries. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to name a quarterback, but he's not going to enjoy getting questions about, hey, who's the starter, this and that. The media is going to ask about it. He's not going to like it, but he's not going to name a starter either. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. He's going to get the questions about it. It's Georgia and it's the quarterback spot.
Kirby Smart is paid a lot of his salary because of the media, whether it's broadcasting rights or obligations that he's got. He has to do it. It's contractually obligated. It's the world he lives in. And if he doesn't name a starter, he's going to get asked questions. He'll be all right. He'll be fine. But this is part of what it is. I mean, this is the ball game that we live in. This is the world that we live in, is that coaches that don't have starting quarterbacks that are named, or coaches who have quarterback competitions going into the fall, they live in the world of questions from the media. Our job is to make people smarter Georgia fans. Kirby Smart's job is to win games. Sometimes those don't line up together, and that's why we ask the questions that we do.
I think ultimately it's probably up to Todd Monken anyway. I don't think Todd Monken is going to say, hey, Kirby, this is the guy, and then Kirby says, actually, no, I want him the whole time. So, yeah, he brought in Todd to be the face of this offense and to run his plan. So, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be up to Todd Monken who gets the starting nod, and
which is the total
that's what it's
wild
going to be
card,
into.
right? I mean, we don't.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the third offensive coordinator for Georgia in 3 years. That's not a.
yeah.
That's never necessarily a great formula for success. But I think in this case, Kirby knew that they had to have more production and on the offensive side of the ball. That's what hurt them the most. So, is that game against Auburn that tight? Is that game against Florida that tight? Is the LSU game actually more competitive in the second half if you have offensive explosion? That's
No
what
doubt, no doubt.
that's what's going on.
And yeah, and again, you're going to have to be able to push the ball downfield. We've seen Jamie Newman be able to do that against ACC defenses. I've seen Carson Beck do it at the high school level. So again, I think it will be more of a competition than people think. At the end of the day, I think Jamie Newman will be the guy against Virginia, but I don't think we're going to hear about that or get anything confirmed until probably right before that game.
One of the reasons why it's so important to really have this be a real fight is because Carson Beck could be the quarterback of the future for Georgia. If we truly are making everyone a smarter Georgia fan, then we have to learn from our mistakes of the past, which is that there is no such thing as certainty in college football, and we can't know who will start at any given position, particularly quarterback. I mean, Georgia the last decade has a history of showing that it's impossible to know those things at times. So that's why I think it's so critical that this thing will play out.